Let's start close in, as the poet David White says. Let's not take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing, close in. Close in is risky and real, and where we have any chance of seeing each other, seeing ourselves, seeing this life as it actually is, undone and imperfect, alive and filled with grace. This is where peace begins. In this breath, this silence, this singing. Come, let us worship together. Greetings. I'm Reverend Elea Kemler, minister of First Parish Church of Groton, Massachusetts. I use she, her pronouns. The mission of this Unitarian Universalist church community is to deepen spiritually, to take care of one another, and to be a blessing to the world. No matter who you are, where you are, or when you are joining us, Lee Kynvi, intern minister, and I are so glad you are here. December 5th is our second Sunday back in the sanctuary after 89 weeks away due to COVID. Some of this service is filmed there. It is also the final day of Hanukkah and the second Sunday in Advent. So we're lighting lots of candles in this service. And I invite you to light a candle wherever you are. A reminder that Advent is the season of waiting, the season of stillness. We so much value your presence with us here online, and we want to continue to find ways to reach out to and to serve our virtual congregation. If you would like more information or you need anything at all, just email us at info@uugroton.org and someone will get back to you. I invite you into the sanctuary of this community. Rest, receive hope and strength, and know that you are so welcome here.
Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And run with love when hope is hard to find. And run with sorrow when the rose in the winter time.
Where do I find peace in my life? I find peace in helping others, teaching and preparing foods, especially for other people. Such as this past Friday, I noticed an elderly person at Market Basket trying to reach a can of spinach on the top shelf. I asked her if she would like me to get it for her. It was that simple. I helped someone. It was just a momentary moment that came in my life and made me feel just a little bit better about myself and being able to help someone. By far the most rewarding time is when you can make a difference in a person's life. Being able to use my talent for food is always a pleasure, no matter what. From making sandwiches to having friends over for dinner, it is always rewarding. Whereas finding peace while in turmoil is much more challenging. For years, I endured a painful relationship with my sister. When we were around 10 or 11 years old, respectively, my stepsister, then a senior in high school, came to live with us in our 4-room apartment. The dynamics in our family life changed dramatically, but in particular between my two sisters. The angst between them has continued to this very day, but it changed my relationship with my birth sister too. It got to the point where we could not have a normal conversation because she was always listening to me through the lens of her embitterment. To extract myself from this pain in order to find peace in my life, I decided to end our phone calls roughly 20 years ago. Sometimes to find peace in our lives, we have to make hard decisions and make big changes. Peace begins on the inside. Because I am more peaceful in myself, I'm able to put more peace into the world. So I'd like a candle today for everyone who has something in your life that is painful, and you need to make decisions on how to extract yourself from that pain and find your own personal peace.
Asher Kishani, Mitzvah, Mitzvah, Shell, Hanukkah. Can you hear me?
Again, louder.
Thanks. Blessed is life, the source of all creation, who makes us holy and urges us to kindle the Hanukkah lights. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, sha'asa Nasim Lavotinu Bayamim Ha'im Fazman Hazeh. Blessed is hope, source of all creation, who performed wondrous deeds for our ancestors long ago in these winter days.
So in addition to being the last day of Hanukkah, today is the second Sunday of Advent, Peace Sunday. Meredith Hill is going to light the candles on the Advent wreath, and she also brings us a song that she wrote just for today.
Today we light 2 candles on the Advent wreath to remind us we are in the time of waiting. We are waiting for the light to return and the days to grow longer again. We are waiting for the birth of Jesus, who was a healer, a justice maker, and a truth teller. The Advent wreath is round like the circle of the seasons and made of evergreen to help us remember that the green of spring will come back. The first candle is for hope, but this week's candle is for peace.
Are you at peace with yourself? Can you feel the breeze on your skin? Say, are you in a state of serenity? Serenity with myself. Serenity with yourself. A jumble of thoughts and feelings, overwhelmed to the point where nothing feels real. But take a
the last night of Hanukkah. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Time to tell the story. Time to speak up. Acknowledging this old story told in temples, synagogues, churches, sitting around the table. Retelling the time when an oppressed, enslaved people spoke up, stood up, took back their synagogue, and witnessed a tiny bit of lantern oil, expected to last one night. They told how it lasted 8 nights. Light that was not expected. To tell this miraculous tale may help us to remember that in the most bewildering of times, when fears arise in the night, when we don't know how to protect the children, during this seemingly endless pandemic of the soul, there is enough oil, there is enough light, there's enough willingness, there's enough love, there is enough.
There is enough oil. There is enough light. There is enough willingness. There is enough love. There is enough. So may these words bring us into a time of prayer and meditation. How extraordinary it is to be here again in this sacred old house on the 8th day of Hanukkah, on the 2nd Sunday of Advent. We do not know what comes next. And the truth is, we never do. And we can breathe and touch our gratitude in this moment for warmth and candlelight and shelter, for this room and this people and the way we hold metaphorical hands against despair, the way we practice hope and humor and stubborn gladness, and the way we keep each other company in sorrow and celebration, in the not knowing and in the waiting. So let us hold in love the prayers of this community, both here and across the continent. We pray for Greg and Leo and Margot as they grieve for Karen, for the Susi and Sanchez families as they grieve for the deaths of Bob and Jamie. We pray for Nancy's sister Kathy as she enters palliative care. And we pray with hope for Risa's friend Cheryl, who is receiving chemotherapy for stage 4 ovarian cancer. And for Pamela as she grows stronger after spine surgery. And let us hold in love all who are struggling, all who are hungry or without shelter around the world, and all who have no peace or not enough of it. We hold in love the community of Oxford, Michigan, the 4 teenagers killed at Oxford High School this week, those who were hurt, and all of the terrified students and parents and teachers and administrators for healing, we pray. And may we remember that peace is not a privilege. It is a birthright meant for us all. And may we hold on to the truth of Barbara's words, especially when fears arise in the night. There is enough. And we also are enough. So let's rest here together in the love that holds us all in tenderness and will never let us let each other go. Begins with a poem by John Rodell called My Brain and My Heart Divorced. And Lee is going to share the reading of this poem with me. My brain and my heart divorced a decade ago over who was to blame about how big a mess I have become. Eventually they couldn't be in the same room with each other. Now my head and heart share custody of me. I stay with my brain during the week, and my heart gets me on weekends. They never speak to one another. Instead, they give me the same note to pass to each other every week. And the note they send to one another always says the same thing. This is all your fault.
On Sundays, my heart complains about how my head has let me down. In the past, and on Wednesday, my head lists of all of the times my heart has screwed things up for me in the future. They blame each other for the state of my life. There's been a lot of yelling and crying. So lately, I've been spending a lot of time with my gut, who serves as my unofficial therapist. Most nights I sneak out the window in my rib cage and slide down my spine and collapse on my gut's plush leather chair. It's always there, open for me. And I just sit, sit, sit until the sun comes up.
Last evening, my gut asked me if I was having a hard time being caught between my heart and my head. I nodded. I said I didn't know if I could live with either one of them anymore. My heart is always sad about something that happened yesterday, while my head is always worried about something that may happen tomorrow, I lamented. My gut squeezed my hand. I just can't live with my mistakes of the past or my anxiety about the future, I sighed. My gut smiled and said, well, in that case, you should go stay with your lungs for a while. I was confused. The look on my face gave it away.
If you are exhausted about your heart's obsession with the fixed past and your mind's focus on the uncertain future, your lungs are the perfect place for you. There is no yesterday in your lungs. There is no tomorrow there either. There is only now. There is only inhale and exhale. There is only this moment. There is only breath. And in that breath, you can rest while your heart and head work their relationship out. This morning, while my brain was busy reading tea leaves and while my heart was staring at old photographs, I packed a little bag and I walked to the door of my lungs.
Before I could even knock, she opened the door with a smile, and as a gust of air embraced me, she said, "What took you so long?" Sometimes the words I have for you are very simple. This is one of those mornings. We lit the peace candle on the Advent wreath and we celebrate the last day of Hanukkah, a holiday commemorating the victory of a small band of resistors and rebels named the Maccabees. The year was 165 before Common Era, and the Greek rulers had taken over Jerusalem and tried to abolish Judaism. They turned the great temple there, the heart, the seat of Judaism at the time, into a temple for Greek gods, and they forced the Jews to renounce their religion or be killed. It was a terrible time. The Jewish people fought back. Judah Maccabee and a small band of rebels who had been living in the hills crept into Jerusalem and won the city back. That part is history. The story part probably is that the first thing that the Jewish people did is return to the temple to rededicate it, to make it their sacred place again. And they had just a tiny jar of oil to use to light the eternal flame in the lamp in the temple. And so they lit it, even though they knew they didn't have enough oil to keep it going, and started to make more. And making oil is a process, but that tiny jar lasted for 8 days and nights until the new oil was made. So the peace candle and the story of a violent struggle for survival come on the same day. But I think that is kind of the point. The world is never peaceful. Not really. There is always violence somewhere in this world. And usually it's not that far away. Sometimes it's as close as our own homes. There is always upheaval and change, sorrow and struggle and grief and joy and transformation of a million kinds happening everywhere, sometimes in our own lives. But what I know about peace, inner peace, or that state of serenity, as Meredith put it so beautifully, is that it is possible. It is possible even in the midst of all that is swirling around us, even in the midst of whatever else is happening. And the other thing I know is that peace is for all of us. It is not something we have to earn. It is not a reward for working hard enough, for being the right kind of person. Some of our peace is hard won, though. Like Sal deciding 20 years ago to put down the phone on a painful relationship for the sake of his own serenity. And even though for most of us inner peace comes just in moments or hours and it is not a permanent state, the path to it is always there, always waiting, as close as our own lungs, where there is no yesterday or tomorrow, only the inhale and exhale of this moment, this breath, and then the next. And that is a place we can rest in. The poet Wendell Berry reminds us that when fear and uncertainty come to us, we can also take ourselves into the peace of wild things. And if the forest is not possible, there's always the sky outside your window. Wendell Berry writes, "When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be. I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in its beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free." I wish that for each one of you this season. Our closing song is kind of a lullaby. Michelle will sing it to us, and I invite you to remain seated, to close your eyes. Maybe you can put a hand on your chest so you can feel yourself breathing, and just rest. Will you put a hand over your heart, and with the other reach out and look around at this beloved and beautiful community. And know that we are connected, we are woven together with strong and sturdy threads of love.
Go in peace. Be a blessing to this world.